Hey friends, today's I'm recapping a 2025 horror thriller movie titled Push, where a pregnant woman who gets trapped inside a house while some creepy bastard is hunting her down like she owes him money. Will she escape or become his next victim? Let's find out. The movie begins with a couple, Natalie and Matt, spending some sweet time together like they're auditioning for a romance commercial. Natalie, originally from Spain, gets told by Matt, an American with main character energy, that she should move with him to the US. He promises to talk to his parents and make it work, flexing his smelly confidence. Natalie seems thrilled by the idea, but suddenly the room's lights flicker strangely, and she turns to see Matt's lifeless body, unalived in a terrible accident. She wakes up crying harder than a giant baby. It was just a dream, but in reality, Matt is dead and went to meet Jesus, leaving Natalie alone, carrying his unborn child. She lives by herself now, still grieving and smelling like regret. Outside, she overhears a few gossiping hags talking bullshit about her, saying she's become mentally unstable since her husband's promotion to the afterlife, and that she barely steps outside or speaks to anyone. Natalie feels hurt, but looking at a photo of Matt, she decides it's time to move on and cut their smelly bullshit. 8 months pass fast, and now Natalie is heavily pregnant and built like a walking watermelon. She is working again as a real estate agent because the bills refuse to pay themselves. She visits a massive property that hasn't been sold in years because locals believe it's haunted, like a WhatsApp group full of church members. Determined to prove otherwise and flexing her expired confidence, she explores the place. The house is huge with stunning mountain views from the roof, basically Instagram worthy if you ignore the eerie atmosphere. She's confident she can sell it. While walking through a corridor, she spots a strange button that screams, "Don't touch me." When she presses it anyway, because why not, an old elevator reveals itself. The place also has a rundown wing that looks like Satan's side project. She begins cleaning, preparing the house in case a buyer arrives. Later, she calls her mother, who warns her that she shouldn't be working in this condition, basically telling her she's moving like a brain-dead pigeon. If labor starts, the baby could come any minute, her mother says. But Natalie is firm, flexing her smelly stubbornness. She promised her boss she'd sell the house today. She's the only female agent in the firm and one of their best performers, bringing vibes and solutions. Later, she walks into the bathroom and breaks down in tears, wept like a giant baby. Still haunted by Matt's memory, her love for him hasn't faded. Just then, someone knocks on the door. Natalie assumes it's a client and heads over, but when she opens it, there's no one there. She froze in shock, confused as a goat in high heels. She steps outside, looks around. Nothing. She locks the door and walks back in, but suddenly she notices someone already inside the house. A man is standing there claiming to be a client, looking shadier than a debt collector. She wonders how he got in, but brushes it off because she's built different, but defective. The man says he saw the for sale sign outside and came to check the property, walking in and smelling like trouble. Natalie starts showing him around, explaining that the house has 2 stories and a solid structure. With a little renovation, it could be perfect. But the man, let's call him Beardy, seems oddly familiar with the place, as if he already knows every nook and cranny. He then asks her with his smelly mouth, "What happened to the previous owners?" Natalie hesitates, then reveals the truth that's darker than my search history. Years ago, the owners were murdered here, and the killer still hasn't been caught. Probably still rubbing his nipples in the dark somewhere. Beardy smirks slightly and says he feels like their spirits might still be wandering the house. He claims he's already sensed something, flexing his smelly beard in the dark. Natalie, clearly uncomfortable and sweating like a pig, brushes it off and tells him she doesn't believe in ghosts. As the evening turns darker and more unsettling, she politely asks Beardy to leave. He steps out and she quickly locks the door behind him. Natalie heads to her car, but it won't start. Frustrated, she goes back inside and calls a mechanic who tells her he'll come soon. While waiting, she decides to kill time and walks over to an old piano in the house. She starts playing like she's auditioning for a horror movie soundtrack. Suddenly, there's another knock at the door. She checks again, and no one's there. This time, the air feels heavier though. She walks back in, But now eerie music starts playing from another room like a demon's Spotify playlist. Startled, she follows the sound, only to find the music player somehow turned on by itself. She turns it off, clutching her butthole in fear. Then her phone rings. She picks up, but no one speaks. All she hears is the sound of heavy breathing on the other end, like someone's having mechanical foreplay with the phone. She asks, "Who's there?" And as expected, no response. The call abruptly ends. Shaken and scared from her spine to her smelly butthole, she walks into the kitchen for a glass of water. But what she doesn't see is a dark shadow standing behind her in the distance, watching like Satan's sidekick. She's not alone, and she doesn't even know it yet. As soon as Natalie senses that someone might be inside the house, she quickly turns around, but there's no one there. Whoever it was is gone, probably hiding like a side chick during family dinner. Just then, the mechanic shows up at the window and she rushes out to show him the car. While working on it, he casually asks, "This place still hasn't sold." Natalie sighs hard. No buyers yet. Everyone's developed cold feet and cold armpits about this cursed place. That's when the mechanic says something that makes the air even thicker. He's heard stories about this house, that whoever buys it ends up getting sent straight to meet Jesus personally. That's why no one dares to buy it anymore, smelling a rat bigger than Thanos. Natalie suddenly asks him if he was the same man who was bothering her earlier, but the mechanic looks more confused and says he just got there, and she can tell he's not lying. His face looked honest. Then he makes another chilling discovery that makes everyone's heart pace. Someone had cut one of the car's wires. This wasn't an accident. It was done on purpose by someone. Just then, Natalie feels sick and rushes to the bathroom to throw up. She holds her belly and gently talks to her unborn baby. "We'll get through this night together," she whispers, trying to stay strong and flex her main character energy. Meanwhile, out by the car as the mechanic works, a shadowy figure approaches him like death with a subscription renewal notice. And in a flash, it attacks, sending him straight to meet Jesus personally. Ended his subscription to life like it's a Mortal Kombat fatality. Back inside, the power suddenly goes out and chaos breaks loose. Natalie lights a candle and slowly walks down into the basement, heart pacing. There, she finds a narrow tunnel she hadn't noticed before, hidden like family secrets. Disturbed and scared from her spine to her smelly butthole, she quickly shuts the basement door and heads outside to check on the mechanic. But he's gone. Vanished like her hopes and dreams. Confused and now terrified, she hears something, a noise coming from upstairs that sounds like trouble having a house party. She slowly climbs up to check, but no one's there. Then she hears water running in the bathroom. Maybe the mechanic came in through some secret passage. She calls out, but there's no answer except the echo of her own fear. She opens the door, and the room is empty like her love life. She turns off the tap and steps out. Suddenly, the lights flicker violently like it's having a seizure. As the power returns, she starts walking through the corridor, and in the shadows behind her, we see it. Someone watching her sexy but pregnant body. Then she hears the soft, eerie tune of a music box that sounds like childhood trauma theme song. She walks toward the window and spots the music box placed outside like a creepy gift from hell. But before she can react, her eyes lock on something more horrifying. The mechanic's body lying in a pool of blood, mutilated like he went through a blender. She gasps, and at that moment, her labor pain begins because her body has the worst timing in horror movie history. She realizes now there's a killer in the house, and he's not letting her leave. Her subscription to life is about to expire. Panicked and hearing footsteps approaching like death wearing tap shoes, she runs straight to the terrace trying to climb up for safety. But the pain is too much, making her struggle to renew her subscription to life. Instead, she grabs a sharp brick for protection and heads back inside, walking in soaked in fear. She calls the old elevator up, but just as the door opens, he's there. Beardy, the so-called client, flexing his pervert beard. Natalie instantly hits the button and begins descending in the lift, but he races down the stairs trying to catch her like a debt collector chasing payments. As the lift reaches the ground floor, he lunges in and grabs her, but Natalie slashes his face with the sharp brick. He screams like a little girl and falls back, spilling diabetic blood. She hits the button again to go down, but suddenly he leaps up and shuts down the elevator. Yes, he's bad at math, but good at being a psychopath. Now stuck, she forces the doors open and climbs out, but her foot gets caught. She's in pain, struggling harder than a last-born trying to get inheritance. Her sandal falls, and just in time, the elevator crashes down like her hopes of a peaceful pregnancy. Natalie, bruised but alive and running on expired confidence, manages to escape the shaft. She rushes outside in panic and jumps into her car, but no matter how many times she tries, the engine won't start. Desperate and moving like her life depends on it, because it does, she runs to Beardy's car only to find that it too refuses to start. Inside, she finds something chilling. The client's ID card that reads Parker Kent, but the date of birth is shockingly old, making him look like he's been alive since dinosaurs roamed the earth. Her eyes widen like she just discovered the truth about Santa Claus. Something doesn't add up, and it's not just bad math. Before she can react, she turns around and sees him. Beardy standing right in front of her, like a nightmare with legs. She freezes in fear, clutching her butthole, and bolts back into the house. But he follows, saying coldly with his smelly mouth, "You can't escape me. I know this house 10 times better than you do. I've lived here for years. This is my home. No one else is welcome here." That's when it hits her harder than reality after a good dream. All the previous homeowners didn't just die, they were murdered, and he was behind it all along, sending them straight to meet Jesus personally, like a serial killer with good customer service. Panicking and running like scared cat, Natalie locks every door and rushes to call the police, but the line is dead, deader than her husband. She searches a cupboard and finds an old map of the house that shows a secret tunnel in the basement leading outside, like an escape route designed by paranoid architects for this exact moment. Without wasting a second, she heads down and crawls into the tunnel, moving like she's auditioning for a horror movie survival scene. Eventually, she reaches a metal grate, but it's so narrow she can barely squeeze through, her pregnant belly becoming the obstacle. Her upper body makes it out, but her stomach is stuck. That's when she hears something that makes her heart pace, a sound. She turns her head and sees him crawling toward her, slithering like a serpent with murderous intent. Terrified and scared shit, she pushes herself harder than a motivational speaker. Finally, breaking free and escaping through the gate, she runs back into the house and manages to reconnect the telephone line. This time, she gets through to the police and begs them to come quickly, speaking with a voice full of panic. But before she can breathe, the killer breaks in again and starts searching the house like he's looking for his lost dignity. He heads upstairs, unaware that Natalie is hiding like a side chick. Just as he lowers his guard, she attacks with main character energy, tackling him out the window. Both crash to the ground below and lie unconscious like they just got folded like laundry. When Natalie opens her eyes, she sees him still knocked out, passed out cold. Quietly, she tries to get up and escape, but suddenly a sharp pain shoots through her leg like karma with a vendetta. A piece of glass has pierced her foot, making her spill diabetic blood all over the floor. She pulls it out, barely holding back screams of pain that would wake the dead. As she tries to run with her broken Tesla legs, her labor pain flares up again, and she collapses unconscious like she just got unplugged. Hours later, she wakes up to the sight of two police officers who look like they actually know what they're doing. One helps her into the car, while the other goes inside to investigate the House of Horrors. But then a scream echoes from inside. The killer ambushes the officer, ending his subscription to life. When the cop outside tries contacting his partner, there's no response except the sound of death having a field day. He locks Natalie inside the car and runs in to check. What? Are you crazy? Anyways, moments later, gunshots ring out like chaos announcing its arrival. Natalie now knows they're both dead, sent straight to meet Jesus personally by Satan's favorite tenant. Panicking and moving like her life depends on it, she looks around and spots a shotgun in the car. With no key, she bends the mesh divider and somehow pulls the gun toward her. They locked her up in the back seat? Come on, guys. She's the victim here. Anyways, boom, she shoots the window, shattering it, and escapes the car. But the killer has also armed himself with one of the officer's guns, hunting her like she's the last item on sale at Black Friday. Natalie stumbles into the ruined part of the house, bleeding, broken. Then her contractions begin because her body has zero sense of timing. Yes, she's giving birth in the middle of all this hunt, chase, and chaos, delivering a baby while dodging bullets like she's in an action movie directed by a sadist. She delivers a baby boy, and as she holds him, she remembers his father and the peaceful but smelly moments they shared. Tears stream down her face like a broken faucet. In this house of horror, amid bloodshed and death that smells like old diapers, a new life is born. But no matter what, she had to save her baby. Maternal instincts kicking in harder than reality. So without hesitation and flexing her main character energy, she steps out and shoots the killer, sending him straight to meet Jesus personally. But right after pulling the trigger, she collapses and falls unconscious. When she opens her eyes, she finds herself in a hospital that actually has working lights. The doctor tells her that her baby is safe and takes her to see him. Finally, some good news in this shit show. But that's not all. They need her to identify the man who attacked her, and she's informed that the same psychopath is in the hospital under police custody, probably getting free healthcare while plotting his next murder spree. Natalie is taken in for identification, and as soon as she sees him, she confirms he's the one who murdered the cops and tried to kill her. Deep down, she wants to slice his throat right there and send him to meet Satan personally since Jesus rejected him earlier. But with the police watching, she controls herself. Later, she returns to her room, probably thinking this nightmare is finally over. Suddenly, alarms start blaring as trouble announces its return. Natalie senses something's wrong. Her maternal instincts erect as though it took Viagra. She rushes to the upper floor, only to find the cops dead and the killer missing. Probably went through hospital security like it was made of paper. He sneaks up behind her and tries to shoot, but Natalie dodges and survives because she's built different. As he charges toward her, she attacks him with the fury of a mother protecting her child. The killer screams that he'll kill her and her baby, making threats like a low-budget villain. Horrified by his cock and bull story, she runs to her child, heart pacing. Thankfully, the baby is still safe. But before she can relax, the killer storms in like trouble with a restraining order. He grabs her by the throat and tries to strangle her, but Natalie doesn't give up. She's running on pure maternal rage now. She grabs a surgical knife and slashes his throat like prices on Black Friday, giving him a permanent smile. Then, she stabs him over and over until he's finally dead, sent straight to meet Satan personally with a one-way ticket to hell. Holding her baby close, she walks away like the final girl she was always meant to be. And that's how this terrifying story ends. A mother who turned into a killer just to protect her child, proving that maternal instincts are scarier than any horror movie villain. But here's the twist that's more fucked up than the rest of this story. That man was living inside the walls of that very house, like the world's worst roommate. He used hidden spaces to spy on everyone with his peeping Tom eyes. Whenever someone moved in, he'd wait and kill them, ending their subscription to life permanently. People thought the house was haunted, but the truth was far worse than any ghost story. There were no ghosts, just a psychopath lurking in the shadows, proving that sometimes the real monsters are human. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe, and remember that apparently, new houses are how horror's movies begin.